All right, welcome to today's Facebook Ads University. You know what? This other monitor is throwing off my recordings when I do this, so I'm going to take that off. All right, welcome to the Facebook Ads University Update webinar, October 29th, 2015 for those of you in the US, and it's October 30th for those of you not in the US, Australia, stuff like that. So we're going to cover basically, Ralph and I are going to go over a little bit of a mini lesson for a common question that we get all the time. And it's kind of a combination question. And we're going to start with kind of how to choose the right objective for your campaign, and then talk about a really common bidding question that we get all the time. So we're going to hit on that, and then we're just going to go right into Q&A. And so feel free to start asking questions now if you've got any. I'm sure some will come up as we go, but we'll go ahead and get right into it and kind of go from there. Okay, so first of all, when it comes to starting any campaign, okay, if you're brand new and you've never ran ads before, usually what we tell people to do is to make it easy on yourself and just create a post, publish it on your Facebook page, and then boost it, right? By doing that, you can select targeting that you want, those types of things, and then it'll also create an ad in the ads manager inside Facebook. And you'll be able to go into the Power Editor or the Ads Manager, and you'll see your campaign, and you'll now have a campaign kind of template that you can work off of. You can duplicate that, you can add to the budget, and those types of things. If you do boost a post from your Facebook page, Facebook is going to automatically choose this one down here, this fourth one, page post engagement, as the objective. Okay, page post engagement is where they're looking for people who are mostly likely to engage, click, like, comment, share your post. Okay, those types of things. So it's not necessarily the best objective that you want to use if you're trying to get conversions, but sometimes it can be a great way to amplify a campaign. So we like to boost posts a lot with campaigns that we know that we're cool with, even if it's not a brand new account. Like if I've been running ads for years, I'll usually, if I know it's a post that I'm cool with having on my Facebook page, the public version of that for my fans to see, as long as it's not something that I want to like hide from my existing fans, then I'll post that in a lot of cases and boost it, and then go into the ads manager, or actually go into the Power Editor and create a website conversions campaign. And then I'll just select existing post. So we boost posts a lot, not every time, just once in a while. So it just kind of depends on your situation. So you do want to have posts on your page that have a high level of likes, comments, and shares. That gives you more social proof. So when somebody does go visit your Facebook page, it's good for you to have some posts that you have boosted, or just used as a website conversions campaign or a video views campaign, but it was on your post itself. So that's just touching on that real quick. But for the majority of your campaigns, I guess the one big lesson here is that Facebook is getting smarter and smarter every single week. And so we used to try to do little things to kind of almost hack Facebook, right, Ralph? We would start with clicks to website, and then we'd move it to website conversions once you got enough conversions and stuff like that. Yeah, and I think over this last year or so, Facebook is really getting smarter and smarter. And so when they say choose the objective that you're trying to accomplish, I mean, do that. They mean it. So like if you're trying to generate conversions, whether you're using an image post, whether you're using a page post link ad, a link post ad, whether you're using a video ad, whatever it is, use website conversions as your objective, because that's what you're trying to get, and you're going to get the best results. And actually right now, maybe we'll touch on that question, Ralph, the whole clicks to website transition that we've talked about a lot in 6 months ago or so in some of our webinars.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah. Well,
actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll read off that question, because that's
okay.
Yeah. Let's read off the question. Wait, would that be the right question for this? Or is that the next kind of step? Yeah, that's the next thing. I'm not going to read off the question. Let's just cover that. So I guess the question is a lot of times they might not have a lot of conversions yet on their history. And so what we used to recommend doing is use clicks to website to get more data on that pixel, and then you would kind of duplicate the campaign and start a new website conversions campaign. What are your kind of thoughts on that whole thing now?
Well, there's a lot of, I think we should probably just be really super clear on what it is that we're talking about. Like the screen that everyone sees right now on their computer, that's your campaign objective. And Keith's got website conversions highlighted there. So that we're talking about the objective for the campaign. So in the past, and I don't know if there's any trainings that are on this that refer to this anymore, but what we used to do is when we would start a brand new campaign, and maybe it did not have any conversions, it was brand new product, brand new service, whatever it is that you're trying to promote, we would start all our campaigns with the objective of clicks to website. Because the idea is that if we could get people to just click to the website, to our landing page or whatever it happens to be, usually a landing page for a lead capture, then we would eventually get conversions. And it would sort of prime the pump, so to speak, and then Facebook would get to understand who it is that potentially can convert. We'd get some conversions on our conversion pixel, and then we'd basically duplicate that campaign and create a brand new campaign that's website conversions as its objective. We're not doing that anymore. The reason is that just through testing as well as talking to our old account rep at Facebook as well as our new partner manager at Facebook, they really do say that when, don't try and reconfigure the system or try and work the system. Just do what Facebook is asking you. Like if you want a website conversion, start with a website conversion campaign. Now, if you're starting in that, let's say that hypothetical campaign where you've never had a conversion, you've never had an opt-in for your lead magnet, let's say, you're giving away a free checklist, and they need to put in their name and their email address. So what might occur is that if you put in website conversions as your objective, then you might need to change around some of your bidding in order to be able to get impressions. So there's a lot of questions inside the Facebook group about irregular impressions. I get lots of impressions some days, and then other days I don't. And what we've noticed is that sometimes when you don't have any conversions and you choose website conversions as your objective, Facebook may not give you any impressions. So you're running your ad and no one's seeing it because Facebook doesn't know what to do. So what we found is that, maybe we can even show them this, Keith, is that if you start off with website conversions but then use CPC bidding, then it sort of jump starts the system. And you get more people that are just clicking and not necessarily converting, but you do actually get some activity on your conversion pixel. So I think if we show this, it's probably way easier.
Let's show that. So right now I'm in the Power Editor. When you create a new campaign, you click Create Campaign, you get this window here. And they make it, these are what the objectives are called, okay? Now, if I'm over here in the Ads Manager and I start to create a new campaign, of course they use different language because they like to confuse us as much as possible. I think they like to make the Ads Manager more about the benefit that you're trying to achieve. It's more for people that are brand new, That's why they have this language.
Right.
And so boost your posts, that's going to be the same thing as right here, page post engagement. Okay? If you choose promote your page, that's going to be the same thing as a page like campaign. If you choose get video views, that's pretty obvious. All these they all connect to the same thing over here. Now notice they don't have some of these extra ones. They don't have lead generation yet in the Ads Manager. You have to use the Power Editor to use that. Another reason why you want to learn how to use the Power Editor. So let's go ahead and let's just pretend we're creating a new campaign. All right. And so we're going to go down here to the ad set level, okay? That's where we're going to do our bidding, our targeting, our budgeting. So, all right. So now I am down here, Ralph, in the pricing, and tell me what to do.
Okay, so this is a brand new campaign. You've never run ads to this offer, let's say. It's a brand new lead magnet that you just put together and you're trying to get leads for your business. Facebook would tell you that what you want to do is you want to use your optimization and pricing. You want to optimize for website conversions. That's why it says it's recommended. But what we found is that if you've never run ads before to this particular offer, you want to, if you do choose website conversions recommended, you might not get any impressions. Chances are you probably won't get any impressions. So what we do is to start off a campaign, we choose clicks. And if you click on that one, then it'll give you a second option as to how you actually want your bid. And then typically what we'll do is there's two parts to this. You can either get more clicks at the best price, which is basically leaving it up to Facebook, or you can set a max bid, that you're willing to click, that you're willing to bid on. We typically just choose to get more clicks at the best price just to start off. Because that way we're basically saying, all right, Facebook, give me as much as you possibly can so I can test out this ad set with this interest or this lead magnet or whatever it happens to be, and give me some impressions so I can start figuring out whether or not my offer is actually valid or whether I should change it or that kind of thing. So that's actually, that's a big deal. So I mean, sometimes we'll find, I mean, even people that are in our coaching program, they have these same sorts of issues as well. And then all of a sudden you change one thing, you change what you're bidding on or your optimization in this little area right here from website conversions to clicks, then all of a sudden you get a lot of impressions. You get, the impressions that are sort of stored up from Facebook.
Right.
So.
And what will happen is a lot of times it's easy to get confused on this. And when people are talking about this and they're talking about clicks and they're thinking that you might be thinking they're talking about using clicks to website as the objective instead of website conversions, but really what they're talking about is choosing clicks up here, okay, instead of website conversions here. It's really can be confusing. So what we're saying is still going to use the website conversions objective. So you're not going to actually, so this is a campaign right now that we're talking about if you're driving to an opt-in or landing page, webinar, lead magnet, sales page, any of those types of things, okay? We're not talking about if you're trying to just get traffic to a blog, okay? That's totally separate. We'll cover that. But the point is right now, the objective that we're talking about is we want to get conversions, right? So we're going to use website conversions. We're not going to use clicks to website. We used to recommend using this initially if you don't have any conversions on your pixel, but we don't anymore. It's just to use this one. And then if it's a new campaign and you don't have much data, you can go ahead and start with clicks. And then now, Ralph, when do you recommend switching over, and do you recommend changing it, editing it inside the campaign, or duplicating the ad set and using this one?
Yeah, you could try both. Usually what I do if I'm getting good conversions using clicks as optimized for clicks, let's say I want an under $5 cost per lead, and I'm getting that using this bidding, I just leave it as is. And then I'll duplicate the whole campaign and then create another one with website conversions as what I'm optimizing for. So I'll run both in tandem, running to the same audiences, the same interests, typically. And then I'll usually use whatever Facebook, like get the most conversions at the best price to start off, which is that second radio button that's underneath this one, and see how they do, and just sort of watch the data as it comes in. I mean, that's usually, in our case, when we're dealing with, what's that again?
Oh, I had the screen paused for a second, so sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
So switch over, optimize for website conversions.
Okay.
And then I'll usually just leave that pricing right there as is. We get into other types of pricing. We'll do some manual bidding later on, but it's sort of a stepwise approach. You start off with clicks, get some conversions, get the pixel going, and according to our partner manager, he says that we used to actually think that you had to get 30 conversions in a 24-hour period in order for the pixel to get kind of warmed up to kind of get Facebook to understand who it is that's going to, in that audience. Let's say you've got an audience of, in this case, he's got no targeting in here, but let's say it was like 1 million people. In that 1 million people, there's going to be a certain subset of those people that are more likely to convert to your offer. So when you choose an objective like website conversions, you are telling Facebook, in my audience of 1 million people, show my ad to people who have a history of converting. Literally, that's what you're doing. So what you'll see out of the gate usually is you'll usually see your best conversions in your first couple of days because Facebook is showing your ad to the most likely to convert. And then there's another subset of people in that million that's maybe, they're more likely to click on, they're CPC people. They're more clicky, but they don't convert. And then there's another subset of people who just like stuff. And there's another subset of people that are page post engagement people. So I'm sure all 4 of those categories kind of overlap each other, but in essence, Facebook's algorithm is so smart that when you tell it what you want, it shows your ad in front of the people that are the most likely to perform the action you want them to perform, which in this case is your objective of your campaign, which is website conversions, clicks to website, page post engagement, likes, you name it. So does that make sense, Keith?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And basically to recap, if you're trying to get conversions, use the website conversions objective. And if you don't have any data, just start out with clicks. Okay, you're still using the right objective, so you're going to be fine. You're not going to, you're not going to lose either way. If you use this one or this one, you're not going to lose. The only thing is this one, you might not get as many impressions. Okay, as you're hoping. So this isn't something that's going to make or break your campaign. So that's just, but it will if you have the wrong objective in place. As long as you're using website, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, just a good example of this is, a campaign that we just started for a new customer, and he had paused his ads, so they had not been running to hit that particular pixel for about 3 days. So I started I did a brand new campaign, 25 ad sets, all individual interests, and I chose website conversions, just like what you see right here. I got no impressions. But then I went back in and I switched it because I was like, I usually duplicate it, but I'll just switch it. So I switched it to clicks, and then I set it at get more clicks at the best price. And my conversions were coming in at $97 each, which was just, I wanted like $15. So it was horrific. So my first day was just a disaster. But the next day I switched it immediately over to optimize for website conversions, and now the conversions are down to $12.
So you started here, right?
Yep.
You weren't getting anything,
Yep.
And then you went to here, you started getting some data, but the conversions were high, so then you switched it back.
I switched it back, yeah.
And notice how he didn't. Sometimes, if you're already getting some data and it's coming in, and then you can duplicate the campaign, right? And then you can kind of compare the two. But it's not a deal breaker if you just change it. And sometimes it's going to be much easier for you just to change it inside the campaign, especially if you're not getting any impressions. You know what I mean? If you're not getting anything, or if it's super high, might as well just change it. It's not going to hurt you. So some of these kind of rules are not hard and fast rules. Sometimes you have to do whatever is more practical for your situation, right? So easier. So that
I just needed to do it fast, and I didn't want to create a brand new campaign. I was just kind of lazy, but I was like, all right, well, I might as well try it. I got nothing to lose. I'm losing right now, so I might as well switch it over. And it started doing better. So, and it continues to do. It really is. It's really true. It's that your campaign objective, you really are telling Facebook what you want. But even in this optimization and pricing area, you're really telling Facebook specifically what you really, really want. Like, I really want website conversions. The way that that's set up right there is the way that you want it. But if we change it to clicks, you are going to be showing, that's telling Facebook, show this to people that are more likely to convert but like to click a lot, which is really what it is. And it's so true. So Arjun actually said that. He's like, you're going to get lots of clicky people in those kinds of campaigns, but at least you'll start getting impressions so you can get some data. And then as soon as you possibly can, switch it back to website conversions.
And Arjun is by the way, I don't know if we've ever mentioned this, but he's a he's a lead generation, like direct response specialist
At
partner
Facebook, yeah.
at Facebook, not
Yeah.
just a general agency manager. He specializes and he only works with agencies that are focused on generating leads. So um, he's definitely in tune with that kind of stuff, and so we get to bring him lots of questions about those. So now, real quick, what about this right here? Adjusting to setting your own bid.
Yeah, we do this after we get data. We do something, and I think there's a checklist and an ops manual inside Facebook Ads University for this. But when we start getting conversions, we'll then, like in our best ad sets, we'll then set manual bids to figure out how, where's the sweet spot in the bidding. So how we'll do it is we'll do what's called a 4X method, where we'll basically take our conversion number, which is, let's say it's $5 a lead, which is what we want. We'll then create 4 different ad sets for 4 different bids for that winning ad set. Let's say that you've got one ad set that's, the interest is Tony Robbins, men 35 to 54, whatever it happens to be, and that's really doing well for you. Well, after 100 clicks or so, you're getting some pretty good data as to how that particular ad set's doing. So in order to leverage or to grow or to optimize, what we'll do is we'll duplicate that ad set and then create 4 different ad sets with 4 different bids. One at maybe $5, $10, $15, and $20. Maybe we'll throw in an extra one at like $25 and then run them all simultaneously against each other and see which wins.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Now, let's see here. Okay, so hold on, I'm taking a screenshot of something here for the members area. Okay. So basically, we're going to. When do you think is the best
I think
time?
for people who are just starting?
Yeah.
I would do it after you've got a winning ad set, after you've got a winning interest.
Okay.
You might want to play around with it.
Okay, cool.
So.
And some people, there's a lot of people that never ever even use manual bidding.
Yeah.
Now I've seen the best results getting to this point and bidding high, and then slowly bringing down, just like Ralph said. So is Molly from Digital Marketer. That's also what Facebook suggests on some of their conversion optimization webinars. So some people will say the opposite. I think that you're going to be okay either way because Facebook is getting so damn smart. Okay, but there's nothing there. If you're already running for 3 or 4 days and you go and you start putting in a high bid, it's not going to kill your campaigns. You can go and you can just see what happens. So, and then you can slowly bring it down.
Yeah, just because you bid a certain amount doesn't mean that Facebook is going to give you a conversion at that amount too. So just for simplicity, is keep it at get the most website conversions at the best price. I mean, just, if you start getting really good conversion numbers, then you can start playing around with that, manual bidding. Maybe you could try the 4X method, which is, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's in. I haven't seen it though. It's in Facebook Ads University.
Pull it up right now, but I think there might be a missing checklist. So we'll check on that after this webinar, and see where it's at. Which checklist is that called exactly? The 4X method? Is it the 4X scaling or is it in the campaign build checklist?
It's in the let me see, ad scaling ops manual and checklist.
Okay, hold on a second here. I think I know where it's at here. Whoops. Ad scaling ops manual checklist. Okay, so it's shoot, it's not showing in there. Okay, so that needs to be added today. We'll get that in there because that's updated now. So that, just so you know, this is where it's going to be. So inside Facebook Ads University, if you go to 7, it's going to be right here, Ad Scaling Ops Manual. This should have been, I think it might have got taken out when there was an update, some of the checklists, but because that was in there. But this is where you can find it right here. And any other checklists that we have, you'll see inside of these steps. So, all right. So now I'm going to go to that question that we had a great question in Facebook Ads University earlier in the week from, let's see, who was it again, Ralph? We were just talking about it. Dang it.
Was it Adam?
Yes, Adam Urbinski. So let's see here. So Adam Urbinski had a great question, and let's touch on that.
I think it's Urbanski.
Urbanski, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Unless he's it's on the webinar.
And there it is, right there. Sorry, Adam. I knew that.
By the way,
as I was saying it. I was actually right as I was writing it in the search. Did I say Urbinski? Yeah. I was typing
I can't see questions, by the way. Can you show me?
Oh, you can't?
I don't know.
Oh, I haven't changed you to an organizer. I'll do that right now. So 1 second here. You're going to go mute for a second. All right. So the question that Adam had was, hey, Keith and Ralph, I'm adding another page and starting an ad campaign for a side business for my wife. It's been a while since I ramped up my ads for my core business. Is there a place where you have a step-by-step how you'd start up a new ad campaign today? For a new website conversion campaign, how many ad sets would you recommend to start with? And once you get some initial data, would you put the new ad sets in the same campaign or start a new one? Thanks in advance for pointing me in the right direction. So I'll let Ralph hit on this too, but the first thing I want to touch on here is that when there is, I like this question because he asks about like the beginning, and then after you get some initial data. So we've talked about this before, and I talk about this specifically in the target audience module right here. So if you watch this target audience research right here, actually, the end of this first video here, I'm gonna talk about when you're doing your target audience research, and I believe it's at the end of this video here. Just want to make sure. It might be, yeah, right here. So basically right here in this video, I talk about this, but I'm going to recap real quick, is when you're in the beginning phase, I call it kind of the discovery period, okay? If you're in the discovery period, then your goal is not only to get results, but it's also to discover as much important data you can about each different interest, behavior, audiences that you're putting in your ads manager. So if your goal ultimately is to optimize your campaigns, leverage Facebook's super smart algorithm, then 400,000 to about 1 million we see as the optimum ad set audience size. Have we seen audiences with 1.2, 1.5 million that work well? Yes, absolutely, especially with lookalike audiences that have tons of data on them. However, in most cases in general, that 400,000 to 1 million is the optimum size. That being said, if it's at the beginning phase of you're just starting out on Facebook, or you have a total new offer that you're running and you want to see how these different audiences kind of react, then we recommend separating out those interests as much as possible. So you might have lots of different interests with 50,000 people in the audience, 80,000, 150,000, maybe even 30,000 in some of those. Because what you're doing is you're separating those out so you can learn. You can go into reporting and you can find out how each individual interest affected your campaign, what the cost per click was, what the click-through rate, what the cost per conversion was, those types of things. And so then what you can do is you can start to take the ones that are performing best, and then you can start to combine 5, 6, 7, 8 of them to get to that more sweet spot. And then you can also do things even more creative where you're combining maybe 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and then you're overlaying them with a lookalike audience, maybe a 1% or a 2% lookalike audience. A little bit more advanced. We're not gonna really hit on that today. We have in other webinars, but basically that's kind of my take. Does that make sense, Ralph?
Yeah. I think basically Facebook for website conversion campaigns, they really do like larger audiences, but there's a point where it's too large. And I think that too large is like 2 million plus. It certainly seems that way, but I mean, I've been surprised recently though, because I mean we've got a new customer that had 35 million in his audiences and was doing actually really well. But so I think in that case, it's sort of to
It's
the
a mass
extreme.
consumer market. If you're in a mass consumer market, then you sometimes it's things are totally different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, without a
that's why
doubt.
you can't just take what we say and it's set in stone. It's so varies on your market.
Totally, totally. So, I mean, I do some audiences that are down to 200,000. I run website custom audience ads that are, less than 1,000 all the time. So, I mean, I think there's always going to be exceptions to that rule. But I think, for pure website conversion audiences, anywhere between 200,000 and 2 million is fine. With, you know, high hundred thousands to a million is seemingly the best place to be. I mean, everyone sort of has a different opinion of that. That's just personal experience for me. But think about it this way: the smaller your audience, the more maintenance that you're going to have to do too. So, like I've got a campaign that's going right now. It's going really, really well, and it's delivering leads at like an insanely low number. It's at 240,000. So I know it's not going to last forever. So I'm testing other interests like, mad to figure out what other interests are going to be able to supplant that because I know I'm going to run through that 240,000 eventually. So, and I also know that, the more money I spend every single day, the more I'm going to sort of burn through it. So, yeah, I think as a general rule, you probably want to go, 6 figures to 7 figures. I think that's, what low 7 figures, maybe up to like 2 million, 2.5 million at the most. But let your numbers dictate how big your audience is. If it's a 2.5 million person audience and your conversions are lousy, then you probably don't have good enough targeting, or there's something wrong with your offer, or maybe your ad. Um, it's kind of hard to say, but I say somewhere in that range, I think is a good amount.
Yeah. So it like you said, it totally ranges. And when you're um, it depends if we have time. If we have time, we can get into some of the lookalike stuff, some of the lookalike overlay audiences and sizes and things that you can do there. Um, but I want to hit on some other questions first. And also,
Okay.
I want to touch on this right here. So, objective. So, we talked about the most common objective, which is people that want conversions. Okay. Now, if your goal is to like amplify a blog post, and this relates back to the first question I think we had by Ray Ritchie, and he said I thought the idea was to get a like first to warm them up, and then move them along your funnel to actually get them to buy. So you'd start with a like campaign. Oh wait, I think there was another. I thought he asked something about content. Um, Maybe not, but basically, so his question is he's absolutely right. Okay, when I was talking about website conversions, we weren't telling you necessarily this is always the first thing that you're going to do. It might be, but this is the most common objective that people are using out there. Okay, it's normally going to be 50 to 60 to 70% of your ad spend is going to be website conversions. So that's why we covered it first. If your goal is to get likes, and you should be spending probably 5% of your budget, maybe even 10, depending on your situation, but about 5% of your budget on page like campaigns. Okay, and you're going to be spending maybe 10 to 20% of your budget, or even maybe 25, depending on your situation, but on clicks to website, and that might be a blog post that you're amplifying because your goal is to get clicks to your website. Okay, now if you have a blog post that you're it's converting really well, like you're getting 20% of the visitors that hit that blog to convert, you might be better off using website conversions on that blog post. I don't know, but
Yep.
that's the case that you're going to want to try both, don't you think?
Yeah. I've tried both. I've done a lot of split testing with clicks to website versus page post engagement, which is another
Mm-hmm.
one that because page post engagement, the ad itself actually looks different in the news feed. You actually see all the comments and all the shares and everything else. So you get lots of engagement, you get potentially lots of shares, potentially lots of likes, comments, everything else, not as many clicks to website, but because you're paying for all those sorts of things because it's exposed in the news feed. So if you're promoting a blog post, I would probably try both objectives. Maybe do them side by side. Do one clicks to website and then the other one page post engagement. Usually one or the other will emerge as the winner. And with the reporting in the Ads Manager and even in the Power Editor now, you can actually see how many clicks you're getting on your link. It's called link clicks now. It used to be called clicks to website in your reporting, which is the thing that you really want to optimize for, because you want to get people to click the link or click the post or the image or whatever it happens to be in your ad, and to be able to target them or retarget them when they land on your website. So I try both usually, but I think just for simplicity, if you want people to click to your website, choose clicks to website. If you want engagement, lots of shares, likes, comments, choose page post engagement. If you want website conversions, choose website conversions. So just to keep it simple.
Yep, and I'm gonna touch on these two real quick. Number one, video views. We've said this a lot in the last couple webinars, but if your goal is to get leads or sales, if you're using a video to drive traffic to a sales page or an opt-in page, don't use video views as the objective. Use website conversions, okay, or clicks to website. And we're finding that video views campaign just finds people that like to watch cat videos, even if they're in your target audience. It finds the worst ones out of your target audience, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's cases where you might use video views if you like. Let's say, for example, it's a really small custom audience, a retargeting list of your own like leads or something like that, or people that have visited your sales page, or or maybe it's somebody that's in your funnel and you're sending them just a pre-webinar video and something like that. Then video views is totally fine, because like your audience maybe is only like 3,000 people or 10,000 and it's just all warm. Then it's not going to really matter too much which objective you use in that case. But you might even be better off with video views. I don't know. So I've seen both kind of work similar. Clicks to website, video views for that super small retargeting list. So lead generation, we talked about this a little in the last webinar. So I guess we've seen it across the board results wise. What are your thoughts on lead generation?
Well, I'm only using it on one client right now just because they don't have a mobile friendly website, and it's halved our cost per lead. So I mean, they were getting $8-9, now it's down to $4, $5 in that range with lead gen. But they also they've got it hooked up with what service is it?
DriftRock.
DriftRock.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we're running it right now, and it's doing really well there. So I've sort of seen some people say that it's been good for them in the Facebook group, and then like Molly Pittman says that it wasn't really that great for them. So I don't know. I mean, it depends on your objective to it, and there's certain campaigns and certain types of offers I wouldn't use it on. Like if the thank you page is really important for the next step in getting them down the funnel, I probably wouldn't use it. In this case, we're just testing it out, and it's a small percentage of our overall spend for this customer, but the results are really good so far. But that's because their website is not mobile ready. So we run everything desktop and right-hand column for them. Plus they have an older demographic. There's all other sorts of things that kind of go along with that. But the reason why it's working with them is because now we're sort of hacking the system because it only works in mobile. So as of right now, lead gen ads only work in mobile. So you don't need a mobile-friendly website in order for it to happen. So that's why it's doing really well for that one. So jury's still out though, I think, overall.
Yeah, and the reason I showed DriftRock there is because they have integration. When you use lead ads, it automatically sends the contact information to your Facebook page, and you have to download the CSV file. But the DriftRock automatically will integrate that to your CRM, like Infusionsoft. There's SyncSumo is coming out with this. Plus, this also has a custom audience integration, but they don't have this quite yet. And Ontraport, I think, might have this integration already somehow too. So there's stuff that's all happening right now. But Ralph, I know, yeah, Ralph, looks like you uploaded that checklist to the. We'll add that back in the members area. That campaign forex scaling. I actually know. I remember vividly now. Uploading that to the new members area before we went live.
Yeah.
And I remember Andy making a comment to me because my thing that I used was kind of big. It was a big orange thing, and the widget that I used to put it in there, and I think he was going to replace it with something better, and maybe he took it out and then didn't or something. I don't know what happened there. We'll get those checklists back in there today though.
Yeah.
So okay.
That
so
and the sucky ads checklist isn't in there.
that was in there too. It was in there too. Yeah. And then also there's another one that I was looking at is right here. This checklist was in here, the campaign build. I know that was in there too, and it's gone. So I don't know when they got removed, but it was probably only in the last couple of days. So
it might just be a conflict with the link. We can fix that easy. So
yeah, that'll be in there today. So we haven't had anybody say they weren't in there. So I'm thinking that just happened in support. Okay, so basically, let's we've got lots of good questions coming in now. So let's see here. So hopefully I answered Ray's question there good. What's this question?
Hey guys, how are you? It's Richard.
Oh, hey Richard, how you doing, buddy?
Great.
Richard's just hopping on to help answer any questions. If we've got questions, he had a call with one of our coaching clients. So we got some pretty good questions here. And what's another one? Hyatt's Cash. It seems the objective of clicks to website conversion, and lead generation all apply for this lead generation purpose. In general, for a cold start campaign, which will get better cost-effective results in CPL. Well, we kind of answered that. Kind of really that first 20 minutes we were kind of covering that. So, but the answer is website. Don't use clicks to website. So you're going to use website conversion or lead generation. Like we said, we've seen results that have been better than website conversion. So start with one of those two. But lead generation ads, you're definitely limited when it comes to integration with your email autoresponder, and you can't use them on desktop and stuff like that. So website conversions, we're going to start. Let's see here. Okay, I got a couple questions I want to hit on from the last webinar. And Ralph, go ahead and scroll through those and see. Let me know if you see one on there that's a good one. I'm going to ask this question. So can we get a brief review of how Facebook tracks video views so we can retarget them? All right, so this is a question that has actually been kind of a frustrating one lately for people. It seems like a lot of people are having issues with the video view custom audience populating. Type in the question box if you've had an issue where it didn't show up and you thought it should have, if you created like a video ad. And I know sometimes what's happened lately is Facebook has just been delayed when creating the audience, or they didn't create the audience at all. And so basically the way it works now and the way it's supposed to work is if, let me move this over here to this other monitor so I can show my screen. And the way it's supposed to work now is you should be able to use website conversions objective or clicks to website or video views or page post engagement. Basically, if you use, let's say you use website conversions as the objective and you run a video ad, Facebook still will populate the custom audience. However, they've been changing things up a lot. So about a couple weeks ago, when you would do that, do we have that demo one up here? Yeah. Before, when you would do that, let's say I wanted to go to the ad level here and I wanted to do a video ad. What Facebook would do was, let's see here, is they would have a checkbox below the video and it would say create audience after this, create audience from this video views, and you had to check that. And originally it was only there for video view campaign, and then they started adding it to website conversion campaigns, etc. And then I can't find and talk at the same time. So, and then they just took it away. And actually, I think it's on the ad set level, to be honest. It should be up here, but they don't have it anymore. So basically, let's just go back to this. Sorry for jumping around here, folks, but let's say I want to run I want to use existing post, and I want to run it to this video here. So this is a video, and is that a video ad or is that an image? I think that's an image she grabbed. Let's use an actual video post right here. Nope, that's not it either. Do I have a recent one? It's been a while. Darn it.
That one, I think, right? No.
No, it's not actually.
No.
Come on. For some reason it's not showing up. You know what? This is why. If you do a, actually right here, there's a video. Okay, so now, this is crazy. So now it's showing this little checkbox right here. It's
back on there.
The reason I know this wasn't on here like a week ago is because Aaron asked me that he had the same issue. Where he was running a video ad and the audience wasn't being populated, and he's like, why isn't this working? And I'm like, well, I went in and checked it, and I was like, you got to check this if you use website conversions, because these website conversions wasn't showing up. And actually it was I think it was from Italia. And so then I went in and I was going to send a Jing video of showing how to do that, and then it wasn't showing up at all.
It's wild.
And actually Facebook on a webinar back in June or July when we had the Facebook video ads webinar, they said that they were going to take this away, and they were going to automatically create these if you do a video ad. And so this is really, it's just back and forth. And so if you do everything right, they should create the custom audience. And if they don't, then give it a couple days. And if it doesn't show up, then it's a glitch. That's the only answer I've got for you.
But double check it.
What's that?
Double check it on the ad level to make sure that box is if that box appears.
Yeah,
it's not appearing in some of mine, so I don't know.
It's weird. It's really weird. And so, will it show up if it's not appearing? I don't know. Maybe it won't. But it's supposed to. So, normally it should start to show up right after you start your campaign now. And then it'll start to build every day. But so that's actually a good question. So let's see here. How many? Okay, here's a good question. How many conversion pixels do you get for each ad account? So if you have several thank you pages, for different offers, I guess you have a limit on conversion pixels, ? Let's see here.
Hey, are you reading those from the questions in the...
No, that was from the last webinar.
Oh, from the last webinar. Okay.
We didn't have time to answer. Yeah, so you can't see this one. Does that make sense? Want me to read it off again? I might give this to you and Richard too to cover it. So, but it's kind of a weird one. But
yeah.
How many conversion pixels do you get for each account? So if you have several thank you pages for different offers, I guess you have a limit on conversion pixels.
It used to be 7, I think, but now it's more. How's that? It's more than it used to be. I forget though.
Let's talk about the old conversion pixel for right now. And then we can, and not like the new one. That's really confusing.
Yeah. For right now, I mean, we've been told by Arjun, it's 1, 2, 3. There's 6. You get 6 standard ones. Checkouts, registrations, leads, key page views, adds to cart, other website conversions. But you can create. Is the question how many of those can you create? There's 6. There's 6 types.
But I think you can create. I mean, those 6 types. But you can create as many as you want.
Right.
That's what I'm asking. Is he asking that, or is he asking how many can you actually create?
Well, let's just answer both questions, just in case. Both kind of questions.
quite honestly, I don't know how many you can create. You could, I mean, try and create 100 different
Yeah,
lead
I think you can
conversion
have as many as
pixels.
you
You
want.
probably could. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know as if there's any limit.
I've,
So,
yeah, I've never hit a limit.
No, you can have as many conversion goals if you want. You have 500 different offers. You should be able to have 5 different conversion goals. So, um, yeah, so basically, but you only have a few different types of categories. So,
right.
checkouts, leads, registrations, key page views, etc. Now, hmm, um,
The type of action that you want to measure, which is what they say when you create a pixel. But so that's with the old conversion pixel. So we're still using the old conversion pixel because we use so many lookalike audiences, and we're optimizing for a conversion pixel. So we haven't switched over to the new conversion tracking yet. But we've seen a couple of ad accounts where it's actually been used and it's screwing everything up right now.
Yeah.
It was not installed correctly. So this is sort of an ongoing conversation that we're having with our partner manager, and he doesn't even recommend us using it yet because he's still trying to wrap his head around exactly how it kind of works with regard to all the stuff that we were kind of talking about in the first 20 minutes. It's like it's really important that when you're choosing your objective for website conversions, that you hit that website conversion pixel, whatever it happens to be, leads, registrations, add to cart, whatever it is that your objective is. So right now we have not switched anything over to the new conversion pixel. But supposedly you have unlimited categories, or not unlimited, it's like 20 or so, Richard, maybe categories of pixel that you can actually choose from in this new conversion pixel. So if you've got like an e-commerce store where there's 7 steps, and you want to measure every single step along the way as they add the product to the cart and then they continue with the checkout process, you can add more conversion pixels and create more conversion pixels using that new conversion pixel. Not ready yet, apparently. We haven't done anything with it. If anybody else has had any experience with it, I'd certainly like to hear about it, that's for sure.
No, I'm still using the old ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the pixel itself, it's just like it's a name. It doesn't. You can use the lead pixel on a checkout or whatever if you need to, in case your funnel is longer than the 6 they give you. But yeah, the new ones are kind of messing everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see why they want to do it because technically it slows the load speed of a page with a pixel on it, but in most cases you're going to have it on your thank you page, so you don't really care about that load speed quite as much. I mean, you care about the landing page. We used to put conversion pixels on landing pages, and then optimize for that. We don't do that anymore, just because I think it does slow down it reduces the chance of the website custom audience pixel firing. So we don't do that. But I understand why they're doing it. I think they've got some work to do on it. And I think Facebook themselves probably admits that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. I've got a question from Bree, aka Betty Rocker. It says, okay, I think this might have been a response to one of your answers to her in the thread, maybe. That I think Keith said a while ago about how you can really amplify your other ads by running a goodwill campaign. A page post engagement ad would be ideal, right? Okay, so now this is basically a good question because this is kind of what Ralph had mentioned a little bit ago. And if I go, the reason I got this slide up here is screen is because somebody asked about a like campaign, but I'll get back to that in a second. An example of a like campaign, that's a like ad right there. So let's see here. Okay, so let's go back to this now, and we've got. So Ralph mentioned he's tested page post engagement and clicks to website a lot for running traffic to content. So what we've seen is that, remember what I said, if you're going to run traffic to a blog post, the first thing that you should probably do is post it on your Facebook page and boost it. That's going to create a page post engagement ad, and you can duplicate that if you want, and have multiple ad sets, right? Different audiences, etc. And so you might get better results with page post engagement than you do with clicks to website. It kind of depends on you and your audience and your ad. So like with Betty Rocker, she has such an audience that's so engaged that I think that her stuff does better with page post engagement than clicks to website, because she gets so much love, with organic love, with shares, likes, comments, and stuff. It just gets more people to want to go to her website. Some people have been better off using clicks to website. Does that kind of make sense? But both of them they're going to use to create goodwill to get. Now, I guess the other question would be, and this might even be her question, even. Okay, hold on. Okay, I was just super interested in the distinction between clicks to website and page post engagement and what happens in the news feed. Okay, so and she gets tons of engagement with page post engagement. So this would actually be a pretty good test to run, to be honest with you, to see. It would be a cool test to do a blog post and run it, which we could probably go look back on the tests that we've done and just look at different data, because if you're looking at a campaign like that, it's not all just about what your click costs are, right? Your clicks to website cost. You might look at a campaign and a blog that was using page post engagement as the objective and ran for 2 weeks compared to one that was using clicks to website. And the one that using clicks to website might have got cheaper clicks to website. Maybe not. Let's just say it did. But then the one that was using page post engagement might have got you more fans in the end, right? Or had a higher relevance score. So you might end up getting more. So it kind of depends on what your goal is. So another, so I think that's kind of, the other thing too is that, let's see here. Yeah, so they both, exactly. So, so much for clicks to websites, so they both work. Yeah, so she said it's just so cool to hear what Ralph said earlier. So, okay, gotcha. So the other thing too, let's say you're going to do, and I know Bree is doing this with a couple different campaigns, maybe one now. But this is one thing that I wanted to add to the user experience design for people. It's not like the first thing you're going to want to do, but something you can just add into it is, let's say you might run a page post engagement campaign, just a pure goodwill campaign. Maybe it's like literally 3 or 4% of your budget, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%, and maybe you upload a cool image, it's an inspirational quote, or maybe it's something that you stand by or something like that, and you write like she's got this really cool post with her arms, with her flexing, showing her back, and then she writes this long kind of emotional post, and then at the bottom of the post itself, it's just got a link to her main, the bettyrocker.com. It doesn't go to any landing page or anything, so people can click through, but the goal of that is to just get engagement. And actually that post that she did was not originally meant to be an ad. It was just a post that she did on her page, one of her posts that she does every day, and she saw her metrics, and she saw her engagement on that post was so much higher than everything else, and she's like, I'm going to amplify this because I got so much love. And what that does is it's just a 10 relevant score. It gets tons of love, it gets tons of Facebook fans, and it gets a lot of people to click through to your website too. And those kind of people are really, really high value people to click. So it's just a little strategy that you can use. And the reason I think this is a great strategy to add in as a very small part of your budget is because what it does is it adds high relevance, low negative feedback volume to your ad account, to your ad account. Okay, so a lot of people are worried about getting their account shut down and those types of things. So if you think about, if you're all of the, let's say you're spending $1,000, let's say you're spending $10,000 a month, and if you're spending $10,000 a month and 10,000 of those dollars is all going into a lead gen, then odds are you're going to have probably fairly low kind of relevant scores overall, and you might have some negative feedback and stuff because people will do that. But if let's say you're spending $10,000 every month and all you're doing is a page post engagement ad like that, and you're not trying to get people to opt in or anything like that, you've got a soft call to action, maybe it's a video, and you're not doing any lead gen at all, and that's all you're doing, your account is going to have such low negative feedback, high relevant scores. It's going to be like building up that bank of goodwill with Facebook, right? So what happens is if you go out and you run a hardcore lead gen campaign and you get a lot of negative feedback and low relevant scores, and let's say you spend $500, that $500 is such a small ratio compared to the other 10,000 that was all goodwill. And so if you get a bunch of negative feedback, it's going to be nothing because it's a small amount of negative feedback compared to your overall negative feedback. Does that make sense? So I use that extreme example is because if you do something like that and you spend 5% of your budget doing a page post engagement ad, maybe you spend 20% of your budget amplifying blog content, maybe your ROI isn't as good on those campaigns, but what it's doing is it's depositing high relevant scores, low negative feedback into your Facebook account. And what happens is it makes any negative feedback you have on other campaigns a smaller ratio of your overall spend. Okay, it's like an insurance premium. That's the way I look at it. But it's like an insurance premium to keep your account safe, but it also works because that's how the real world is. It's also going to help you sell more stuff down the road too. So, because think about the real world. Go back to the party, right? Go back to the party, and nobody likes that guy that shakes your hand and then tries to sell you something 30 seconds later. But nobody likes that guy at a business like Ralph, BNI. Used to be the president of BNI, right?
I was, yeah.
Yes, Ralph was the president of his local BNI out there in what is this?
Where do I live?
Yeah, what's it
New
called?
England.
What?
New England.
New England, basically. Yeah, New England. He lives on Cape Cod, by the way, with a freaking. I haven't been there yet, but a really cool place.
You're never coming. You're never coming here, by the way.
Oh, come on! If your wife will let me.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so let's say you're at BNI, and BNI is like it's a business freaking weekly meeting that people pay a membership fee to go to connect with people to get clients. And even at a business meeting like that, nobody likes that guy that nobody tries to shake somebody's hand and then try to sell you something right then, do they? If they do, nobody likes them.
Yep.
Right?
It's true. Yep.
So
they used to come in all the time.
Yeah, and then and they just get a bad reputation right away. So normally it takes a few, and that's at a business environment. And so you got to realize that with Facebook, the reason why we teach this more advanced stuff with Facebook, the reason I teach this user experience design and blog amplification and light campaigns and video ads isn't because lead generation doesn't work. It does. There's always going to be a percentage of people that are ready to take action right then, opt in and buy. There's always going to be a percentage of people that will. And there's going to be a small percentage of those that'll buy something more. But the rest of the world isn't quite ready yet. This is why you have other campaigns running simultaneously, warming people up, turning cold audiences into warm audiences. So moving people from cold interest audiences into warm custom audiences. So that's just a little strategy.
Those should technically also improve your reach a little bit, even if just a little, on your fan page.
Say that again.
It should also increase your reach of your other posts on your fan page.
Organic reach, right?
Organic reach, yeah, exactly. Because of all the goodwill and everybody liking and sharing and all that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
It's a great point, and I know Bree has seen that with her organic stuff recently, big time. I wonder if she'd be down to unmute for a second and even. But her organic stuff has just been doing so much better recently because of all the high value Facebook ads that she's running. So the audience is bigger, so that's going to help. But so they can play off each other. You end up getting more organic reach, and then as you get more organic reach, you can test different things with a post, an organic post, and then one that kind of gets more organic engagement. Then you can put money behind that. So it's kind of cool. So okay, actually, yeah, she says yes, of course. Sweet. So I'm gonna unmute her real quick. All right, let's see here if I can find it.
Well,
Um,
now we're not going to look as smart when she comes on, Keith.
I
You know.
know.
Stop it, Ralph. I
Yeah.
want to come to Cape Cod. I want to come
You're
and cook.
invited.
I'll come and cook for all of you.
Sweet.
Yes.
I've
I
been
just
on
got
this
a
like
Betty
I've been on
Rocker
this
to
like
cook
trip.
for us. That'd be pretty cool.
No, I've literally been on this trip for like the last 2 months, like visiting relatives and like cooking for them, and it's been so awesome.
You
So
can
yeah,
come here and cook.
thank you. I'm
Yeah.
delighted for
I
you
got a
guys.
Vitamix blender too, so I forgot to tell you
Ralph's the
that.
cook in his family too. He's the main
I am.
chef.
I
Well,
am.
his son really is, but that's another.
So I have to admit, I was multitasking while during that last part of the conversation. I'm uploading a calendar to my membership area. I'm doing like 6 things, and I'm also listening in on the webinar. But I did catch that you wanted me to talk about my most recent strategy and which part, because I'm doing like 2,500 awesome things. Which awesome thing can I share?
Oh man. Um, I would say if you're going to say that, then the topic that I was talking about was basically how you're using how first of all your Facebook ads have helped your organic reach big time, and then how you're using your organic posts that you find are compelling, and then you're amplifying them, but also just how some of that just basic engagement stuff has helped the overall ROI with some of your other campaigns.
Oh, it's
Um,
huge.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it's
maybe even
so
touch
huge.
on that video ad that you're
It's
running right now, and like
Oh
how
my
it was
gosh,
like,
yeah. Okay, so I'll segue into like why I got so interested in the page post engagement stuff that Ralph was talking about earlier is because we started out like I was doing like some clicks to website campaigns and some page post engagement campaigns, and that light bulb didn't really go on for me until just now when you said that, Ralph, about like page post engagement. Duh, it's like of course it's about getting more engagement with the post, and I just
Right.
hadn't really thought about that, but that is kind of naturally how I use the post that Keith was talking about. And there's another little strategy within that strategy, which is I do post regularly just cool content and like memes that I've created of myself. Like I'll find a great quote that's motivating and put it over a picture of myself because I'm always branding myself. I'm always being inspiring. That's like how my brand works. But this one picture that Keith's talking about, it's been running for months, and I remember it just got so much organic love on Facebook. I was like, and that's another strategy I employ. I check to see how well it does just to my fans, and if it's something that just kind of goes a little viral, I immediately boost it, and then I usually end up turning it into an ad after I see how well it does when I boost it. And that's something that's I've really gotten some real winning campaigns using that strategy. So I'll post something. I'll see if it does well just with the fans without even doing any boosting at all. Then I'll boost it for a day or two, see how well that does. And if I'm really liking that result, then I immediately turn it into a campaign and figure it out. But that particular campaign, like I said, was something I was just doing naturally. Like I felt like it was such an important post, and so many people had so much to say about it when it was organically in the newsfeed, and even when I boosted it, that it just felt like something I wanted to just pay to make into an ad, because in my mind, an ad is about so much more than making money. It's about like the value I'm providing to my audience, and the more I can't remember who it was that said that the amount of money that you make is a direct correlation to the amount of value that you provide to people, and I really focus on the value as much as possible. And I made this little comment in the question box a few minutes ago, was if more people would consider making the value-driven posts a cornerstone of their ad spend strategy and were less focused on the money that they make, they would make more money, because that's actually like one of the posts I think that has driven my just the goodwill in my campaigns, all of the other campaigns. I mean, people feel like I care about them because I do, and I'm constantly commenting on my posts. But this post in particular is really important because I really am running it just like an ad, but it's not an ad. It's not making them do anything. They can click to my blog if they want to, but I don't really mind if they do, because the blog is the least important thing about that post. It's really just about building like goodwill. It's like imagine you came to my house. I'm gonna give you cookies, right?
I'm
Like I'm gonna
imagining.
bake you something, and I guess I've kind of been describing like my blog and my main website. Like Keith, is it okay if I explain the way that I sort of see the compound?
yeah,
Can I give that sort of analogy? I feel like this is something that I've started to really come to understand about my business this year. Like I have about 5 websites now, and they all do different things. One of them's like for my lead gen campaign, hosts like pages, sales pages. One's for like my members area. One's the main blog, and I've recognized that the blog is my blog in particular is very important to my business. It's like the foyer in the compound that I've created of this online business. And in the foyer, or maybe it's the living room, whatever, you come in to my through any gateway, my Facebook ads, a YouTube video, an Instagram post, and there are going to be so many things there for you to engage with. You're gonna get a cup of tea. You're gonna get a green smoothie. You're gonna sit around and hang out. And I've cloned myself in that space, Keith's version of the online party, to just be there to hang out with these people, talk to them, give them great tips and information. And they don't have to do anything except show up. They don't have to swipe their credit card. They don't have to sign a waiver. They don't have to do anything. They can just walk in that front door, and think of that as like the way that you are putting really useful content out there onto Facebook, and that is just as important as in your ad strategy as the ads that you run to your lead magnets or to your sales pages and your retargeting, because those people are the people to retarget, right? They've been warmed up. They've felt treated well. They felt invited into your space. They get to know you a little bit. And you can do that whether you have a blog or not. Maybe your online foyer is the really valuable video that you posted in the newsfeed, or it's like a great post with really valuable tips that you posted in the newsfeed. That there is great content for people to engage with you. And then once they've really felt warmed up, naturally, I'm going to clone myself in another way, and I'm going to kind of walk around the foyer and invite people who are really warmed up to come to another part of the compound. And yes, that's where they will swipe their credit card, but they're going to be already coming to find me, to ask me where they can go swipe their credit card to get beyond the next door into the next room, so they can do a workout plan with me, so that they can get my recipe guide. They're so excited about that because I've made this such an inviting space for them. And I know that these are the people who belong in my compound because I've been very specific about who I've invited in. So if you can use that sort of framework and analogy around your business, and I know everyone's a little bit different, right? It's been really helping me just think about what it is that I'm actually doing online and what I'm doing in the digital space and how I want to treat people. Try to imagine how I'd like to be treated, and the brands that I most resonate with and how they've made me feel, because people forget what you do and they forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. And this is true whether you're in a restaurant, whether you're online, whether you're in a store, I don't care, in a relationship, all of it. And we are in relationship with our customers and potential customers. So anyway, that's what I have to say. And this is, I'm sorry I'm talking for so long, but this is really what has evolved into my this video ad that I just created, which sort of feels like a content piece. It's just this quick montage cooking video that I walk in the front door holding my grocery bags. I start doing food prep. I have these fun like shots of me cooking, flexing, just like being myself. You know, I had friends over. We filmed it all with my iPhone. I was just doing food prep, and the end is just me like standing in front of my kitchen counter, just covered with like, you know, cleaned and washed vegetables, a few dishes I had prepared for the week, and I'm just like, you know, flexing and kind of laughing about how awesome it is. But it's overlaid with a voiceover that's really engaging.
Music in the background.
Yeah, of course. I always put music because I'm Betty Rocker. You got to rock it out. But there's also like, you know, just what I'm saying in the voiceover is really important because I'm not talking about buy my meal plan, buy my meal plan, buy my meal plan. What I'm talking about is how I save money at the grocery store, how I do this stuff, why it's fun for me, my philosophy about eating, like, you know, that looking good is a byproduct of how we feed and treat ourselves, just like I feel, you know, like the value that you get from your, you know, the money that you make from your audience is, you know, a byproduct of the value that you give them. It's really like that philosophy just, you know, in a nutshell around food. So that video and the conversation that I now have on social media and now on my sales pages, my social media conversation is translated into my sales page approach. It is basically, it's doubled my conversions on one product, and I think that I can't even tell you, it's costing me $3 a sale on desktop and mobile for the $47 product, and it's been 8 days, and I've had like 50 sales, and I was running it for $10 a day. It was like so cheap. And so, I mean, now I'm obviously ramping up the budget, but Ralph, isn't that crazy? $3 a sale.
In case people didn't hear that properly.
Say that again.
It's literally, I was just looking at it again because like every day I look at it and I send Keith a screenshot and I'm like, look at what I did. This is so cool. Yeah, it's basically it's $3 for mobile and desktop, which is crazy, and they're neck and neck on the sales. They're
Wow.
both of them.
$3
So
per
I've had
sale. So
$3 per sale for the $47 product,
Some
and
people would be happy with $3 per lead.
yeah.
right. That's
Now it is to warm audiences, which you've done an incredible
well,
job of warming
and
up.
that's
But
what I was. That's
still,
why the other
yeah,
strategies
that's
I
why
talked
it's
about
so
first are
important.
so
Yep,
important, right?
so
And
important.
also because they're those people are still in that conversation with me, where I am the hostess. I am taking care of them. That's why this video retargeting them doesn't feel like an ad either. It feels like they are feeling so invited into my world, as they should, because they've already been warmed up with this really content-rich blog content, right? And now I'm like, they're smelling the cookies, they're smelling the food, and they're feeling invited in, and they just can't wait to get their hands on it. So it
Well,
doesn't feel like a sale.
and talk about like when you were just talking about like the language that you're using. So she's doubled her conversions on her not just from that video, but also just from all the traffic coming to her sales page, because she actually changed up the voice, her voice, from being talk about what you kind of changed it
Oh
from
yeah.
to what it is now.
Well, you guys know, like, one of the biggest challenges in the fitness industry, and everybody knows that it's tough on Facebook to get your stuff like to work on. And I've gotten so many comments, like, why is she okay with it? Why is this okay? And we just talked about this in the boardroom call yesterday. It was so interesting because what it looks like is that because I'm putting such a positive spin on everything, there's quite a lot that I can actually do um, with my Facebook ads and also my landing pages. But I've started to really change the tone of my landing pages, and I never really was comfortable saying all the skinny, those words about wanting to be skinny or wanting to be, I don't know, like all the weird
Lose
weight
fat.
loss stuff. Yeah, I didn't like that stuff, but I did have some of that language still on my stuff. And when you're first learning to write copy, it's really tricky. I mean, I write all my own sales pages, and I was really like kind of in my own way trying to sound like a salesperson instead of just being myself, which is what was working for me on Instagram and what works for me on Facebook. So I've actually started allowing the information I've gotten from my Facebook ads to inform the way I'm writing my sales pages. And I now am writing my sales page copy the same way I talk to people on Facebook. So I gotten rid of any trace of like fat loss, right? Like it doesn't talk about the problem as much as it talks about how to feel and look your best, how to make things not hard. And yes, I'm a smart copywriter, and yes, I'm still using some hooks, right, to help the page flow down, right, and to keep you going. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows and all innocent, right? I want people to buy my product, but I need to show them the value of it, and I'm doing that in a very different way than I used to. And that is, a lot of it's informed by what I've been learning from Facebook and what people are responding to.
It's totally personal too. And I think that's just we were talking about this the other day, obviously. But the thing about Facebook is it is a personal experience. So, I mean, there's only one you, there's only one of everybody that's on this call tonight. And just make that personality show. I mean, I think one of our coaching students, we all sort of prompted him to get, more personal with his ads, and he actually posted it inside the group. And we were,
that was so awesome. Yeah, so
it's awesome.
Swank.
It was Swank.
It's
And
so
he was
cool.
like, we were watching one of his YouTube ads, and I was just like, you look like Blake Shelton, and you should totally do something funny because I want to see more. He's reminded me of the Dollar Shave guy. Like, he was so great, and he freaking did one, and it's so good. I watched it 6 times. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
get inside the Facebook group. It's this one right here. Watch this video. When I first commented on it, I was so dumb. I was thinking it was the one that we watched earlier that day, so I didn't even watch it because I thought it was the one with the. And then I was like, because I saw the YouTube thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was the Blake Shelton one. And so that was totally Bree's idea.
He didn't tag me in that. I was like, why didn't he tag me? And Jenny tagged me though. I was all happy because I was like, oh my god, he did it. He actually did it. It's so cool.
Yeah, totally did.
Like right after the same day, right?
Yeah, he was all inspired. He was so, because that was that. I saw him and I was like, you are not Blake Shelton, but you need to do a Blake Shelton something because you are so funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I mean, I don't know if it's going to convert, but it is very cool, and it probably will. I mean, that's the idea, is to build up that kind of thing.
That doesn't matter if it converts
Exactly.
well as his other stuff. I feel like it's going to brand him as
Right.
this really great guy, and people will have that piece in the back of their mind for the next time they see him, and it's going to only snowball, like what Keith always says. Like it will just create more of that effect, right?
Totally.
It's a compounding effect. So thanks a lot again, Bree, for sharing all that freaking information. It's so cool to see, inspiring, hopefully for people out there. But even if you're not like as um, epic as Bree, you can still learn a lot of what she's doing in any industry. And the point is, and same thing with Jason there, you can't take a video like that and run a Facebook campaign and like try to look at your numbers and say, oh, my cost per lead sucked, I'm going to pause it. It doesn't work that way. You're serving a different purpose. You have to realize that some of your campaigns are serving multiple purposes. They're branding you. They're leaving impressions on people. So this is why when like I hate it when people they email or the clients or customers, and then they'll say, hey, we ran a blog post and it sucked, and we didn't get any leads from it, and so we stopped doing it. Or a video ad. It's you have to realize that it's a long-term play, and sometimes it's a short-term play too. You just depending on how good it is. Sometimes it's if you run 3 or 4 videos, it's the fourth one that kicks butt. The other 3 might not have been that great because maybe it's something you did in the video, or maybe it just people weren't ready yet. So sometimes you need to do multiple things like this to leave different impressions with people, figure out what works and what doesn't. So and not necessarily look at every single campaign as a specifically analytical cost per conversion, because that's not how Facebook works. I mean, I had this conversation with Dennis Yu on Sunday. We had almost a 4.5 hour lunch, and he manages Facebook ads for Golden State Warriors, Rosetta Stone, like they've you name it, they've managed or consulted with a lot of big companies like Infusionsoft, Marketo, Nike, but a lot of direct response and big brands. Okay, both. So they understand lead gen and also big brand. But we had this conversation how people think it's one or the other, and he's like, you can't win without both. It's organic, like engagement combined with direct response. You can't have one without the other. You have to turn cold traffic into warm, and then you have to engage those people because they're not always going to be ready right away, and then you have to have lead gen. You're always going to spend the majority of your money on your lead gen, but you're going to spend smaller percentages on this other stuff like this that's not going to give you that direct ROI, but it's going to make a bigger impact in the long run. So it's just like it's like the test that you see a lot of people have ran where they've got a video on a landing page, and the video opt-in is a higher cost per lead. But if you track all the way to the sale, the video opt-in, even though it was a higher cost per lead, ends up being a more profitable campaign almost every time because you're getting a higher quality lead. That's why I love running video ads. Video ads aren't always the best cost per lead, but they affect you more in the end. Just like when I ran the marketing campaign for the machine launch for Digital Marketer. I was getting pretty high cost per leads with my video ads into that campaign when I was running as an affiliate earlier this year, but I ended up taking, I think, what place did I take? I ended up taking like 5th against guys with like 10 times the size of my list, and because I was making such a bigger impression with the people, and so because of those videos. So anyways, it's just all kind of relates. So let's see here. As we were kind of going off on some more tangents, but that was cool. So let's see, what time is it? Wow, it's 26 after, so we're hitting time. There's a question that I want to hit on real quick. I just told him I would. Bill Cousins. Okay, have you guys ever seen it where your ads are running and doing great, getting conversions at a decent cost, and then all of a sudden conversions will stop, like the ads have stopped running even though your budget still gets spent? Nothing changed in the ads or anything like that. They just stopped converting. We just had the same exact question, didn't we, from Jason on our call?
Yeah.
This is actually kind of common. And I'll let Ralph answer that one.
Did what we say actually work for Jason? Do you know?
You know what? I'll look in his account.
Yeah, I did.
You just had a call with him. Yeah.
Yeah. He paused it and unpaused it and it started working again.
There we go.
That's
That's
it.
basically the answer I was going to say, but that's what we told him to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
was hoping it would work. I mean, it usually works for. I mean, if you change something in it, I don't know whether it's the pausing and the unpausing. If you change something in it, we did it once where we were targeting people between 40 and 55, and I changed the targeting to 39, and then all of a sudden it got impressions. We told them to pause it and unpause it, and it worked. I've also done it where, like we talked about in the beginning of this call, where you're doing website conversions as your bid, and then you switch it to cost per click or clicks. So I don't know if it's necessarily a specific thing, but if you change something in it, it almost like it shocks the system, and Facebook like wakes up. It's like they fall asleep, and then you got to slap them in the head somehow by changing whatever it is that you're doing and do something different.
And the other thing is too, is this, there's two things that can happen here, which we don't know why it happens. One is kind of what Ralph's referring to, where it just stops getting impressions and you can't figure out why. The other thing, which is what happened with Jason, is the same thing that Bill is asking. He's still getting impressions, I think, because they're still spending his money. You know what I mean? But he's just not getting like conversions. All of his metrics are crap. And that's what happened to Jason. He was getting like $2 to $3 cost per lead for like 7-8 days straight. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, his leads were at like all of a sudden $18 per lead. And he only had a couple coming in. But and our answer was, well, normally if your ads have been running for a few days at a consistent basis, it's probably a Facebook anomaly, and just like either let it go and see what happens the next day, or do something like what Richard just said, pause it, unpause it, or Ralph said, make one slight tiny adjustment to your campaign, and it'll probably come back to normal the next day or two. And that's what usually happens. If that doesn't happen, then I would say, then what do you guys think would be the next thing to do? Maybe duplicate the campaign, try it again, something like that? Or just the first thing to do is change something slightly.
Change something else. Change your targeting slightly. Change your lower end or your higher end of your age range. Just change something.
Yeah.
It's one change that'll do it. Change your bidding, anything. And if you guys, if you guys find a better formula than that, definitely put it in the Facebook group, because we're all ears. But that's usually what we do. So.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna do one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up. So Sissy, it says, this is actually, she's got a message that says your ad will not be optimized for conversions because we haven't received any activity from your pixel. To optimized for conversions, view pixel or email pixel, pick your pixel code and refresh. I think she was copying and pasting some of that. I think the issue she's having there is that if Facebook, it will go inactive if it hasn't gotten a conversion within 24 hours. And so what they're telling you basically is you need to get more conversions, or you need to refresh that page. And they're not going to be able to optimize based on conversions because you're not getting the volume. I guess, does that kind of make sense? They're not going to like pause your, well, no. Have you seen it where they'll actually pause? They won't like pause the campaign, will they?
Not kind of physically pause, just not any impressions usually is what happens.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that you might stop getting impressions. So I guess it kind of depends on your situation. But one, if you reload it just from the page itself, it'll go active again. It'll probably just solve the problem. But you might, if you're not getting enough volume, you might have to change that, like we talked about at the very beginning of this webinar. Is go back and change your optimized, change your bidding from here. I'll show you again real quick. So change your bidding to clicks, basically. So if we do this, so you might, if that does happen, you might have to be in a situation where you might have to go change it from this to clicks, and that will probably help you. Now, you still might get that message, but you'll want to go back and reload your page. But this way, you're not going to be it's not going to be dependent on those conversions as much. So, I think she figured it out. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right. Could have been that. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. Lots of good questions. And thanks for all of you who stuck around for the whole thing. And thank you again, Bree, for bringing that awesome story and your experience of how basically talking to your audience instead of just trying to use perfect quote unquote copywriting has actually doubled your conversions, which is pretty awesome. So, and the cool thing about the videos she's doing is they're not like perfectly scripted videos either. They're just her being herself. They're easy to edit because she's just using music in the background. You don't even need a mic. She just speaks. She just does a voiceover, to her computer in the editing process. And it's those kind of videos are actually a lot easier to create, which is cool too. So, all right, well, we're gonna wrap this up, and we'll put the recording up in the members area and post in the group when it's ready. Have a good rest of your week and a great Halloween weekend.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, see you guys. Bye.